terror organization, which is the National Investigation Agency, has now taken over the probe into the blast which happened in Delhi. That's our top focus this hour. Hello everyone, here's what's making headlines. Another CCTV footage of the I-20 car has surfaced. The suspect, Dr. Umar, is seen inside the I-20 wearing a black mask. The car entered Delhi from the Badarpur toll plaza at 8:13 a.m. Later, the I-20 was seen parked near a mosque close to the Red Fort before the attack. Heat on more doctors of terror after Delhi blasts. Jihadi lady doctor of terror Shaheen Shahid involved in Faridabad terror module. Sources say jihadi doctor was tasked to establish Jaish's women's wing. As the death toll in the Delhi blast rises to 10, Prime Minister Modi sounds a big warning, asserts that conspirators won't be spared, will be taken to task.
इसके पीछे के षड्यंत्रकारियों को बख्शा नहीं जाएगा. All those responsible will be brought to justice.
Delhi blast probe handed to the NIA. Prime Minister Modi to chair CCS tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. And Bihar looks set to replicate its historic voter turnout in phase 2 of the polling as well. Over 60.4% turnout recorded by 3 p.m. And we are starting with a piece of breaking news which is coming in now. Home Minister Amit Shah has chaired a review meeting on the Delhi blast case with senior officials and have instructed them to hunt down each and every culprit behind this incident. Everyone involved in this act will face the full wrath of the agencies. This is the message which is coming in from the Home Minister. Those are the visuals coming in. Home Minister Amit Shah with Home Secretary and heads of various investigating agencies. Remember, this is a multi-agency probe which is now being led by the Premium Anti-Terror Agency, which is the National Investigations Agency, the NIA. Let me go straight to Aishwarya Paliwal, who joins me live. Aishwarya, we are looking at several top-ranking officials of India's premier agencies present in that meeting with the Home Minister. What are you picking up? What are your sources telling you?
Well, Marya, one thing is very clear. The government will not let this go. And the meeting that we are seeing, this is just one of the many meetings that Home Minister Amit Shah has taken. And the message is very, very clear. We will hunt down the last person responsible for this. And that's the message that even Prime Minister Narendra Modi has given. He's now said that no one will be spared. We will make sure that we reach the last person responsible for this. This is something that India does not take well. And also, what needs to be now looked at is the entire picture which now needs to come out. That's the reason why we are seeing all the agencies and the heads of all the agencies having a conversation, having meeting after meeting with Home Minister Amit Shah. And this is the reality. The police now, let me tell you, we are showing you, these are the current visuals coming in from Red Fort of India, from ambulances to Delhi police to the fire brigade. Everything is now, they are now all prepared to make sure that something like this does not happen. The other crucial thing, Marya, that we understand will now happen is that the other states also have been put on high alert, and there is a reason why we are seeing the heads of all these all of them sitting together, because the idea is to make sure that all of them work in tandem, they all work with focus, and the end goal should be very, very clear. Just connect all the dots, bring the picture in front of the government and tell the government what exactly happened. If there were lapses, speak about the lapses so that these kind of lapses and these kind of instances do not occur anywhere else in our country. A very clear message coming in from the Home Ministry and from Home Minister Amit Shah. Marya.
And the fact that it is the NIA, which is India's Federal Counter-Terrorism Police Agency, which will now be investigating this terror blast, becomes important. Remember, it was created after 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks under the NIA Act of 2008, which came into force on 31st December 2008. NIA, what will be its role? Will examine terror conspiracy under UAPA, identify masterminds, handlers, and financing networks, and coordinate with state, police, and central agencies on interstate and cross-border links. Another piece of breaking news which is coming in now. And suspect Jaish-e-Mohammed, who remained in that parking lot next to the Red Fort for 3 hours, Umar stayed inside the parking lot is what now sources are saying. That entire time he did not get time even once to move out of it. He entered the parking lot roughly around 3:19 p.m. and left that spot at 6:48 p.m. And at 6:52 is when the blast happened. That is what the CCTV footage is revealing. And remember, in this entire area, which is a high security zone, there are multiple CCTV cameras which are monitored on a regular basis. And there is also a police chowki next to the Red Fort. So now we can tell our viewers, there was this question that whether Dr. Umar, who was there, who had parked his vehicle, that is the I-20 vehicle, inside that parking lot, did he step out? Was he waiting for some information? Was he waiting for one of his handlers to give him that instruction to go ahead with this suicide bombing? That is the big question. And now that is becoming clear that he stayed in that parking lot for all of 3 hours. Then he exited around 6:48 and the blast happened at 6:52. Let me bring in Shreya, who's joining us live. So Shreya, you know, we are piecing together various details, and one of the details is that Dr. Umar, who entered Delhi from Haryana via the Badarpur border, is actually from 8 a.m. till 3 p.m. He is moving around Delhi. At 3:19, he parks himself in that parking lot. The question is, who chose that area for the blast? And is it becoming clear? And if he is there inside that parking lot, sitting in that car for 3 hours, what was he doing? Who was he speaking to?
Those 3 hours was of a panic-stricken terrorist, because he knew that there was a team of the Jammu and Kashmir police and the Faridabad police that was swooping down the entire region of Faridabad to arrest those absconding. Now, that is the reason we see Umar Mohammed, he takes that car, he drives past the Badarpur border at 8:13 as recorded on the CCTV toll plaza, subsequently towards the national capital. And because it was not something of the initial plan, but something to escape an arrest from, in a panic-stricken manner, he drives to the Chandni Chowk's Suneri Bagh Masjid parking, stays in put for 3 hours. What is right now also being ascertained, Marya, is whether there was any attempt made by him to make any calls to any of his accomplices. What we do know that at least 3 of his accomplices was arrested by the Haryana police, the Faridabad police on Sunday itself. That included the likes of Marya Shakil, that included the likes of Dr. Shaheen. So clearly, he was someone who was already in the state of panic. He was inside that parking lot. He comes out of the parking lot, detonates the car, leads to the loss of lives of 9 individuals. But what is more important right now, that what are the kind of places that they actually recceed? What were the initial spots that they had chosen? All these things are right now being looked at. So what we are seeing right now is a combing operation that the police in Delhi is also doing to trace back where did these people visit across the national capital, and if they had their handlers across the border, to information about. Those are very crucial, because clearly what we are learning, that there are orders directly from the Home Minister that every individual needs to be traced down to the module and be brought to task.
All right, Shreya, we'll keep continuing to coming back to you for more details, because let me tell you what we know so far. Remember, Delhi was jolted last evening. What seemed like a lone blast outside Delhi's Red Fort has now exploded into a chilling cross-country conspiracy. From Delhi to Pulwama, Faridabad to Lucknow, agencies are uncovering a web of terror woven by minds meant to heal, where doctors have turned destroyers. Investigators have uncovered a terror module led not by hardened militants, but by educated professionals in white coats. And at the center of it all is Dr. Muhammad Umar, the alleged suicide bomber who drove the I-20 that exploded near the Red Fort. He has a key link to the Faridabad jihadi module. His associate is Dr. Muzammil, who was employed at Al-Falah Hospital, allegedly acted as the conduit for explosives. So these are the various characters of this terror plot that we are looking at now. Another member is Dr. Adil Arathir, who was caught with an AK-47 exposing a hidden arm cache near Delhi. And the network further deepens with Dr. Shaheen Shahid, whose swift car was found laden with explosives. She is now in custody and is under intense interrogation. Shaheen's brother, Dr. Parvez Ansari, remains on the run. He is being tracked by the UPATS and also by the Jammu and Kashmir police. Dr. Sajjad Ahmed Mala is another important character in this terror plot, a senior resident at Al-Falah, and Maulvi Irfan, a former paramedical staffer accused of radicalizing medical students, have all been detained. What is clear is that this is one plot with multiple terror faces. What is becoming clear is that there are several pieces and what is the nature of communication that they had. And it's also becoming clear that Dr. Umar, who actually blew off that vehicle, the I-20, was actually the one who panicked after he came to know that all his friends and those who were part of the larger conspiracy had been arrested. Munish is joining me. So Munish, we are looking at 6 to 7 doctors, paramedicals who have been involved in this conspiracy. When you say that NIA is investigating, they would be looking at coordinating with various states, Jammu and Kashmir, Haryana Police, UPATS, Delhi Police Special Cell. Are they looking at this web perhaps expanding?
Absolutely, Marya, because the investigation has just begun, and when NIA took over the investigation, now they'll be given all the evidence which was collected by the Delhi police as well as other agencies. But as far as this entire module is concerned, Marya, what is interesting here is that at least there are 6 to 7 doctors who are in the net of investigative agencies. Not only Dr. Umar Mohammed, but also there are others who by profession were doctors, but they were involved in terror activities, and that is why now it is a larger conspiracy which the NIA will be investigating. Marya, remember when IM was very active, Indian Mujahideen was very active, or when SIMI was very active, then there were so many engineers in those terror modules. We used to see that there were engineers by profession who used to actively work as a terrorist, but in this module, it seems like the strategy has shifted, and now doctors who are very well accepted by any society, people trust them blindly, and that is why in Faridabad, when they were not only conspiring to act against the country, but also they were involved in transporting the explosives, they were very easily able to hide their network, and only after they were raided yesterday by the Jammu and Kashmir police, this module was busted. So it is going to be a large conspiracy which has to be unfolded by the national investigative agencies. There are indications that Jaish might be behind these terror activities, but now NIA will investigate. They will find out which terror group was behind these terror activities. But you rightly pointed out, this module is something which is going to unravel the strategy of the terrorists in the modern era.
Absolutely. This is the white-collar terror plot as is being called now. Munish, continue to be with us. Let's take a look at who are these various characters. Some of them have been arrested. The identity of a number of them is still unknown. The UPATS is trying to track them. The Jammu and Kashmir police is also conducting parallel raids even as we speak. So let's take a look, a closer look, I would say, on how this white-collar terror plot actually unfolded.
A massive explosion outside Delhi's Red Fort. And now a chilling terror web unraveling across cities. Delhi, Pulwama, Faridabad and Lucknow. What began as a blast in the capital is now linked to a major arms haul in Faridabad. Investigators had recovered 2,900 kg of explosive material, including 300 kilos of ammonium nitrate, rifles, pistols and ammunition from Dr. Muzammil's house on Monday. And then the police on Tuesday launched massive raids on persons and organizations connected to Dr. Muhammad Umar, the alleged bomber. The focus of the probe has returned to Faridabad at the very Al-Falah University, where another accused Dr. Muzammil was employed. The operation did not stop there. A police team moved to Lucknow, tracking absconding Dr. Parvez Ansari.
अच्छा, ये डॉक्टर परवेज है जहाँ पर एटीएस सुबह आई थी, तो क्या यहाँ पर पूछताछ की? आप लोगों से भी जानकारी ली?
नहीं, हमसे कुछ नहीं पूछा। वो पूछे कि यहाँ पे ताला कब से बंद है। हमने कहा भाई हम नहीं जानते, 2 दिन पहले से, मतलब देखा आदमी ऐसा पूछेगा तो कोई बताएगा कि कितने दिन से नहीं देखा उनको, बस आते जाते देखा उनको। ऐसा नहीं है कि मतलब हाँ हम लोग कोई बात थी या कुछ भी।
अच्छा, कभी किसी से बातचीत करते हुए नहीं देखा कि डॉक्टर परवेज बात कर रहे हैं या कुछ कह रहे हैं या कुछ इस तरीके का?
नहीं, या मतलब जो अंदर क्या नाम है जलता होगा, दरवाज़ा बंद तो पता नहीं चलेगा ना ऐसे। वो अकेले आते थे जाते थे, मैंने कभी ऐसा बात नहीं किया। कोई भी मेरे रूम में कोई भी ऐसा नहीं बात होती है।
At his home, police found a car with an integral university pass registered to Saharanpur RTO.
लेके डाल दिन था, कोई रहता नहीं था इसमें।
अच्छा,
पापा उनके कभी आते थे रहते थे, वो भी जईफ हैं, बूढ़े हैं।
अच्छा अच्छा।
अब जब से बीमार हुए वो कभी कभी वो आए गए अपने, कोई पता नहीं है।
यहाँ पर मकान लेके कब से रह रहे होंगे लगभग अंदाजा?
लिया तो था ये करीब 21 में लिया।
21 में?
लेकिन रह नहीं रहे थे यहाँ। हाँ, बंद पड़ा था ऐसे ही।
एटीएस सुबह आई तो क्या क्या छानबीन आप लोगों से पूछताछ की?
नहीं, एटीएस तो छानबीन किया लेकिन मिला कुछ नहीं।
And as the layers peeled back, a massive terror network involving doctors unraveled. Dr. Adil Ahmed Rater and Dr. Muzammil both arrested from Al-Falah University on Monday. Dr. Shaheen Shahid, another associate of Muzammil, held on Tuesday. She's accused of forming the women's wing of the Jaish-e-Mohammed. Dr. Parvez Ansari, who still is absconding and was a professor at Integral University in Lucknow. Dr. Muhammad Umar, the alleged mastermind behind the attack. According to investigators, when Faridabad module was busted, Umar panicked and fearing arrest, he planted the explosives himself, ending his life in a suicide attack. From classrooms to covert terror cells, 5 doctors, 1 deadly plot. The Red Fort blast may have shaken Delhi, but it has also exposed a network that's now under the scanner across states. Bureau Report, India Today.
And I'm going to go straight to Preeti Chaudhary, who's joining me from Ground Zero next to Red Fort, the site of the blast. Preeti, it's almost 24 hours since the blast took place. What are you seeing right now? Yesterday and through the day, we have been seeing multiple agencies, their officials arrive to collect any evidence that they could gather.
Well, Marya, one thing is now clear, even though there has been no official declaration of the fact that the case has been handed over to the NIA. That, in effect, means that it is being treated as a counter-terror operation. What I can also tell you is through the course of the last 15 to 18 hours, combing operations have been on. Right behind me is the Red Fort area. This entire area has been practically shut down. So has Chandni Chowk. The Red Fort metro station has been shut down. Behind me, if you can see those white scaffolding, tents, makeshift tents have been put in. And early this morning, a lot of equipment for analysis was actually got in. And the forensic team, the NIA, various segments of investigating agencies are combing this area for any possible piece of evidence which is being duly analyzed right behind me in these tents. And at the back of that, it's source-based information right now that was established that the explosive material that was used was indeed ammonium nitrate, and it was mixed with a certain amount of fuel as well as a detonator. So that was established by, the tests that have been conducted at the back in these makeshift tents. So in terms of the agencies, we've seen the meeting with the Home Minister, Marya, and I think for someone who also tracks the government, all eyes will be tomorrow on the CCS meeting chaired by the Prime Minister at 5:30 p.m. to further identify what will be the course of action. Because, Marya, after Operation Sindoor, one thing the Prime Minister had said very clearly, we're not just proverbial, but he had drawn that line in the sand where terror was concerned, that any act of terror is an act of war. That terrorists from now on coming in from across the border will not be distinguished between the state. So what action will India take? Till now, of course, there is no direct link where Pakistan is concerned. But if you join the dots, Marya, and you start off right with Omar Mohammed, Dr. Omar Mohammed, the suicide bomber, the car that he took, where the car was sourced from, which links itself to the terror module, the white-collar terror module run by doctors, which was busted yesterday morning with the footprint of the Jaish-e-Mohammed. Now, the Jaish-e-Mohammed links itself to Bahawalpur, Pakistan. So ultimately, if you join the dots, understandably, the footprint is Pakistan. How will India deal with it, Marya? You cover the government very closely, and I would think this is going to be a tough call from here on.
Absolutely. Preeti, really appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us from Ground Zero near Red Fort. Let me bring in the guests now. Sanjay Sahai is former IPS officer. We have Lieutenant General Dhillon joining us as well. We also have Shashi Kant, former DGP of Punjab. Lieutenant General Dhillon, your thoughts in terms of 24 hours since the blast. Of course, the details are trickling in. NIA has taken over the investigation. There are a number of unanswered questions. Even as the NIA pieces together what all happened, one thing is becoming clear, that this is a sinister plot.
Good evening, Marya, and good evening to the fellow panelists and viewers. Yes, it is clearly a case which has now been established. The linkages to Kashmir and Jaish-e-Mohammed are well established. And more importantly, what was captured from Faridabad, in addition to the 2,900 odd kgs of ammonium nitrate, there were 20 detonators and 24 remote control units. That means there is a possibility of making 20 separate bombs, and which could be, and this one which exploded yesterday near Red Fort was about one of them. So there is every possibility of more such bombs or car bombs or otherwise available, which are still out in the field and not yet been captured by the security forces. That is one. So citizens have to be very, very careful. The agencies are doing their job. Secondly, when there is more than one state police involved and more than one directorate involved, it is very important that National Investigating Agency, which is basically a very professional agency which deals with the counter-terror operations and investigation, that takes on the investigation, and I think that is what has been done, so that everything is controlled centrally and analyzed centrally. And once I'll again request through your channel, all the people, all the citizens who are giving out their property on rent, please don't go by this कि डॉक्टर साहब है, अच्छा आदमी है, शरीफ आदमी है, पढ़ा लिखा है, अच्छी family है, nothing doing. Please get the verification done by the police. All their characteristics must be checked properly. And your property which has been rented out, you should be very clear who is coming in, who is going out. If it is being used only as a store and someone is just coming and dumping some boxes and you don't even know what that person is using these boxes for, you got to be careful. You have to inform the police. So alert citizen is a citizen without the uniform or the soldier without the uniform, and everyone has to contribute for the national security. So these are few opening thoughts, we can carry it forward.
Yes, sure. Well, let me take the opening comments also from Sanjay Sahai.
Yeah, see, primarily the shifting of the whole focus from primarily technicians, technologists who were heading most of these modules earlier to doctors, that has been the game changer. Because that's precisely where I think most of the stuff has actually been carried. And these doctors, if we feel that these 4 or 5 doctors have been critical in establishing this whole terror module and bringing it to execution, I don't think that will be the total story. There's a whole logistics behind 2,900 kgs of explosive which is carried and timers and variety of other things. And there can also be a situation wherein large number of cache has still not been recovered. So what is of critical importance is to first to get the sourcing of the whole thing and how it was detonated. I think the actual detonation is still not known. So how it was detonated, plus the radicalization part. See, where we are failing is the radicalization part. While the action is being taken, and in this particular instance also, I think in nearly 24 hours since the blast, or slightly even less than that, we have been able to piece most of the things together as for how this complex module has taken place. But the crux of the matter is when we feel that terrorism is at its low, the radicalization operates and it comes out in a much more sinister fashion. So all these things have been happening in and around Delhi, and Jammu Kashmir has been basically at the center of it. This whole movement not coming in the radar of the intelligence agencies and also the local law enforcement agencies, I think we need to give it a thought. What is required immediately is even faster, more expeditious investigation so that we don't miss out on anything and so that we don't land up into another situation of this nature. There might be another Dr. Umar who would be running away for his life. So that situation can also come. Other important factor is how much we are basing ourselves.
But Sanjay Sai, a thought here before I bring in Shashi Kanji. My question is that I was also reporting from the site of the blast. There is no crater and there is no black suit. These were seen as signs associated with some kind of terror activities. That's not the case because it has to do with a particular kind of explosive.
See, that was the conventional mode, the way they have been moving from engineers to doctors. As far as the detonating and the explosive is concerned, they have to move further. And see, ammonium nitrate, what sort of a explosion can it create? I don't know, even best of the people available in this country can exactly pinpoint to the nature of the impact, nature of the explosion, and what will be the remnants by which you can piece together and confidently and substantiate that this has been ammonium nitrate. I presume that the connect between the Faridabad ammonium nitrate and the ammonium nitrate which went into flames at the blast site have been from the same source or from the same warehouse or the same storage place. Ammonium nitrate, if I remember clearly, this sort of a flare-up or explosion accidentally happened in Beirut also. And it put large parts of the city onto flames. It was in the year 2020. So the exact nature of this particular chemical as an explosive and the capability to kill people or maim people, I think that clarity was not existing with most of the people who have been trained into this, who are delivering this, and that is where this whole conventional thought process of IED, sharpener, crater, and all these things came into existence. That is the way we think. But certainly it has moved forward. I think it has been conclusively proved that these are the major personas of this whole exercise, at least on the face of it. There's a huge ecosystem operating from behind, so that is a different story altogether. We are not getting into as of now. But the point is ammonium nitrate as an explosive and the way it is being, and we are not sure of the fact whether this fellow was scared or whatever. Or it was a part of their plan that in case we land up in this situation, we create a terror attack and that will help us escape.
Yes.
That will help us escape.
Yes, so perhaps Shashi Kant ji will be able to answer that. Mr. Kant, what is being said is, and that's of course by the sources who are telling reporters some details, sharing some details, they say that Dr. Umar's reaction was more of panic. that most of his friends had been detained and arrested by the cops because of this entire anti-terror plot which had been unraveled from Jammu and Kashmir police to Haryana police working in complete coordination. He did not know what to do. He spent 3 hours in that parking lot, and thereafter he leaves the parking lot at 6:48 p.m. and then the blast goes off. It happens at 6:52.
Yeah, well, I think as of date, it's difficult to say what exactly happened, why he left the place. But the conjecture or the theories that exist as on date are that once the police raided the Faridabad place where all these things were kept, possibly, again, who knows, it's a matter of the investigation, that he left that place, ran away. But yes, he ran away. He might have been panicky, but again, not totally panicky, because when he left that place, first, he went to a nearby gas station, got his car's pollution test done. Maybe he feared that if he gets into Delhi and there's some smoke emitting out of that exhaust pipe, he might be checked in something. So that means it was not really totally panic reaction, because he was taking these things, he was acting very coolly, getting his car's pollution test done and all those things. Secondly, I think, again, in the field of conjectures, he went to the parking lot, he spent 3 hours there. Possibly he was trying to contact his handlers in Pakistan or wherever they are, or maybe he was trying to just ponder over what to do. Look, even a suicide bomber, when he's gonna do something, they just sit and they're panicky inside, certainly, because this amounts to they're going to end their lives. Even if you look at the case here in Punjab that it happens, the Bhagat Singh murder case, there's Balwant Singh who blew himself, he was a suicide bomber who killed Bhagat Singh. He had also taken time to trying to restore his nerves, and then he went, CM came out, and he went there and blasted himself. Possible. All right, no, these are all theories, and all of us have to think about it. But again, the most important things I think which come out is, number one, the use of the guys in white coats. Nobody could have suspected is a new thing. Second, once again, we have this theory or this particular incident that the suicide bombers still do exist. Maybe they try to think about it in a so-called cool fashion and they try to indulge in this thing. Number three, about the crater theory, which is there. Of course, yes, forensics will tell what kind of explosive were used. But again, whether there was a crater or not, it depends on the line of impact, where exactly it was kept. If it was kept too close to the ground, then certainly there will be some crater or some kind of marks on the ground or on the road, but it was kept slightly higher, the line of impact will be different. So there are so many different kinds of things. But again, lastly, I'll say, it all points out, since the lady who has been arrested, Shaheen, she was heading the Jaish-Wing's ladies' wing. So certainly that means that this kind of persons and whosoever was recruited by this woman, certainly they have the potential of indulging into one thing or the other. Last point, 2,900 kgs. What does it mean? Does it mean
Mr. Shashikan, just hold on to your thoughts, because there's a piece of breaking news coming in now. Please, I would request all the panelists to stay with us, because there is a new twist in this Delhi blast probe. Sources are saying that all suspects are senior doctors from Al-Falah University. So that is the basis. It is the university through which all of them are connected. Their education that binds them all together. 6 junior doctors have now been detained from Al-Falah University. Sources saying that 40% of Al-Falah University doctors are from Kashmir. Remember, in 2019, the Al-Falah University had introduced the MBBS course. So Anmol is joining us live. So Anmol, it's becoming clear now. It is the university which perhaps bound them all together. Their education is from the same university, that is Al-Falah University.
Marya, this is very shocking that every dot is connecting with the Al-Falah University. If you talk about all the doctors, those who are named in this act of blast are from Al-Falah University. But we are being told by our sources, one of the doctors we have talked with from inside the university has told us that all the 3 doctors, Shaheen, Umar and the other doctors from whose home the chache of around 2,900 kgs of explosive was seized by the agencies. They are all senior doctors, and around 6 doctors have been detained by the agencies like Delhi Crime Branch and Faridabad local police and local agencies are currently inside the campus. They're talking with the administration. They're talking with the other people. Around 52 people have been interrogated by the agencies. They have talked with the Vice Chancellor from the hospital administration and the other people, those who were related to Umar and the other resident doctors, those who were related to accused in this blast case. So 6 people have been detained by the police. They are being questioned by the police on this, and crime branch team is inside. In the morning it was seen that heavy police force crime branch team went inside in the campus, and still they are inside. They are interrogating the people, those who are detained, and even they are also looking at the CCTV image, and they are trying to establish the case. They're trying to establish, they're connecting dot by dot to know what happened and what could have conspired if they haven't averted the yesterday's seizure.
Okay, so Anmol there reporting from outside Al-Falah University in Faridabad. The MBBS course started in 2019, which essentially means that these are doctors who would have exited from that university only a few months or perhaps a couple of years ago. And in that period, it's where they got radicalized and also stayed in touch after their education at Al-Falah University. Let's get us more news now which is coming in, and this is with regards to the investigation. The Delhi police has now submitted a preliminary report on the Chandni Chowk blast to the MHA, which is of course the Red Fort blast. The report details the sequence of events leading to the explosion in the I-20 car and outlines the coordination between Delhi, Haryana and Jammu and Kashmir police during the investigation. So it's a multi-agency, multi-state probe, and now the Delhi police, having submitted its report to the Ministry of Home Affairs. Even as we speak, the Home Minister is chairing that crucial meeting. Shreya is joining us live. Shreya, give us the details.
Well, Marya, right now what we're learning is that the Delhi police has actually submitted a preliminary report to the MHA. This is a part of the investigation process whenever such serious incident takes place, and that too at the nature of a blast. A preliminary report has to be submitted to its home body, which is the Ministry of Home Affairs. In that report, it very well details the sequence of events of how that I-20 car detonated carrying out the blast. So from where did that car emerge, the entire area in the National Capital toured, everything along with the details of the CCTV, where else was it spotted. All of that have been mentioned in the preliminary report. Along with that, what we're also saying, being told that how was there a coordination between the Haryana police and the Jammu and Kashmir police along with Delhi police? Because remember, there was also a simultaneous operation that was under its way. There were raids that were being carried out to nab Muhammad Umar in the first place. So how was that coordination happening? All those details have been mentioned to the MHA right now, and this is at a juncture where MHA has transferred the blast investigation to the National Investigative Agency, the main body for investigating terror cases. And we will be seeing in a process of another day from the Delhi police, the investigation will be handed over to the NIA.
All right, Shreya, a word now from Lieutenant General Dhillon, who will be exiting this broadcast shortly. So when we are talking about radicalization, Lieutenant General Dhillon, it's becoming clear it is the university where all of them got radicalized, and then they stayed in touch as well, post completing their education.
Yeah, absolutely, Marya. There are various places where the young children and even the teenager and beyond get radicalized, to start with madrasas, then small pickpocketers in the jails, and then, of course, the professional colleges and university, as is the case in this particular case. So all this radicalization is done in a very, very professional manner by the handlers in Pakistan. In this university, now when the NIA probes it further, you will find out there are faculty in this university which is doing all this dirty work. There are professors and there are senior professors who would be involved in all this. So this will come out slowly and slowly. And I just want to bring out a point about the question which you asked other panelists about the crater. See, it's not necessary that every explosion or every IED blast creates a crater on the ground. Okay. The crater depends on where the detonator is placed in that. Say there is a package of explosive, if the detonator is placed on the top, that means the detonation happens from here, the vibrations go down like this, then the impact on the ground is more and the crater is created. In case the detonator is placed at the bottom of that box of explosive, the shock waves will go upwards and sideways. Then there are less chances of crater being created, and if there is a chassis and a vehicle underneath, all the more less chances of a crater. But of course, the experts, the forensics and the NIA will go more into details of this. What is more thing in this particular case is there are no sharpeners or there are no splinters. Generally, when IED is made, an explosive is there, a detonator is there, and thereafterwards they pack it up with a lot of scrap and sharpeners. At times they even use nuts and bolts. So that when the explosion takes place, all these nuts and bolts and metal pieces, they fly in all directions, acting as sharpeners or splinters to cause the maximum casualties of the people nearby. So that has not happened in this case, and the crater theory I have given my point of view, but NIA will give out the more details.
All right. Thank you for joining us, Lieutenant General Dhillon. In fact, another piece of breaking news coming in now. The UP ATS and Jammu and Kashmir police have seized Dr. Shaheen's father, Syed Ansari's phone and hard disk from his house. In fact, Samarth is joining me from Lucknow. Samarth, where are her parents? I mean, when we say that their hard disk and phone has been seized, when and where did it happen?
Well, Marya, I must tell you that the investigation started from the morning near the Madgaon area, but later on in afternoon from 3:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. That is for 1 hour. Interrogation happened with Syed Ansari. Who is Syed Ansari? Syed Ansari is father of Shaheen and Parvez. That means Parvez and Shaheen both are brother and sister, and we are present at the locality where that particular inspection, the interrogation happened by the UP ATS and the Jammu Kashmir police. And this is that particular location. As you see in the visuals clearly, this particular narrow lane leads to the house of Syed Ansari, who is inside because he hasn't been detained yet. But it's worth mentioning here that a mobile phone and a hard disk has been collected from this particular area, has been seized from this particular location because the police did not want Syed Ansari to further contact that Parvez, because Parvez is still on the run. He hasn't been arrested or detained, while that particular lady has been arrested from Faridabad, and that's why this particular investigation and interrogation is happening, and that is why Jammu Kashmir police had to visit Lucknow for further investigation, because these two are very important points in this particular story. Both have a medical background, which is also linked to those three terrorists who were in a way arrested from different locations, who had links to obviously they studied from China and did MBBS, while on the other hand, these two, so that lady and that Parvez, both have got the medical background, and they also had some intentions and had clear relations with those particular terrorists who have been arrested by the Gujarat ATS and Delhi police. From there, back to you.
All right, Samarth, appreciate your time. And a massive explosion which rocked the Red Fort area, and the nation is on edge. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that he will get to the root of the conspiracy. Home Minister Amit Shah has been chairing several meetings, high security level meetings of various agencies back to back. The Defence Minister has also issued a sharp and stern warning as well, saying that the perpetrators will face the harshest retribution. Take a look at this report as the nation stands united and the probe intensifies.
A massive explosion in the heart of Old Delhi has shaken the nation to its core. Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Bhutan sent out a strong message of resolve and vowed that those responsible will be brought to justice.
हमारी एजेंसियां इस षड्यंत्र की तह तक जाएगी। इसके पीछे के षड्यंत्रकारियों को बख्शा नहीं जाएगा। All those responsible will be brought to justice.
Back home, Home Minister Amit Shah convened a high-level security meeting that brought together the country's top officials from the Home Secretary and IB Chief to the Delhi Police Commissioner, NIA and NSG heads and Jammu Kashmir's DGP via video link, underscoring the gravity of the attack. On Monday night, Amit Shah visited the explosion site near the Red Fort and met the injured at Lok Nayak Hospital, pledging a thorough investigation into the blast that claimed several lives and left over a dozen wounded.
हम सभी संभावनाओं को तराश रहे हैं और सभी संभावनाओं को ध्यान में रखकर इसकी गहन जांच की जाएगी। सभी ऑप्शन की तुरंत जांच होकर नतीजा जो आएगा जांच हम जनता के सामने रखेंगे।
Defence Minister Rajnath Singh warned that those behind the attack will face the harshest punishment, reaffirming India's commitment to protect its people and stand firm against terror.
I wish to assure my citizens that the country's leading investigative agencies are conducting a swift and thorough inquiry into the incident. The findings of the investigation will soon be made public. I want to formally assure the nation that those responsible for this tragedy will be brought to the justice and will not be spared under any circumstances.
The nation stands united, vigilant and resolute, sending a clear message: India will not bow to terror. With Aishwarya Paliwal and Jitendra Bahadur in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Those responsible will be brought to justice.
India's premier anti-terror organization, which is the National Investigation Agency, has now taken over the probe into the blast which happened in Delhi. That's our top focus this hour. Hello everyone, here's what's making headlines. Another CCTV footage of the I-20 car has surfaced. The suspect, Dr. Umar, is seen inside the I-20 wearing a black mask. The car entered Delhi from the Badarpur toll plaza at 8:13 a.m. Later, the I-20 was seen parked near a mosque close to the Red Fort before the attack. Heat on more doctors of terror after Delhi blasts. Jihadi lady doctor of terror Shaheen Shahid involved in Faridabad terror module. Sources say jihadi doctor was tasked to establish Jaish's women's wing. As the death toll in the Delhi blast rises to 10, Prime Minister Modi sounds a big warning, asserts that conspirators won't be spared, will be taken to task.
इसके पीछे के षड्यंत्रकारियों को बख्शा नहीं जाएगा. All those responsible will be brought to justice.
Delhi blast probe handed to the NIA. Prime Minister Modi to chair CCS tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. And Bihar looks set to replicate its historic voter turnout in phase 2 of the polling as well. Over 60.4% turnout recorded by 3 p.m. And we are starting with a piece of breaking news which is coming in now. Home Minister Amit Shah has chaired a review meeting on the Delhi blast case with senior officials and have instructed them to hunt down each and every culprit behind this incident. Everyone involved in this act will face the full wrath of the agencies. This is the message which is coming in from the Home Minister. Those are the visuals coming in. Home Minister Amit Shah with Home Secretary and heads of various investigating agencies. Remember, this is a multi-agency probe which is now being led by the Premium Anti-Terror Agency, which is the National Investigations Agency, the NIA. Let me go straight to Aishwarya Paliwal, who joins me live. Aishwarya, we are looking at several top-ranking officials of India's premier agencies present in that meeting with the Home Minister. What are you picking up? What are your sources telling you?
Well, Marya, one thing is very clear. The government will not let this go. And the meeting that we are seeing, this is just one of the many meetings that Home Minister Amit Shah has taken. And the message is very, very clear. We will hunt down the last person responsible for this. And that's the message that even Prime Minister Narendra Modi has given. He's now said that no one will be spared. We will make sure that we reach the last person responsible for this. This is something that India does not take well. And also, what needs to be now looked at is the entire picture which now needs to come out. That's the reason why we are seeing all the agencies and the heads of all the agencies having a conversation, having meeting after meeting with Home Minister Amit Shah. And this is the reality. The police now, let me tell you, we are showing you, these are the current visuals coming in from Red Fort of India, from ambulances to Delhi police to the fire brigade. Everything is now, they are now all prepared to make sure that something like this does not happen. The other crucial thing, Marya, that we understand will now happen is that the other states also have been put on high alert, and there is a reason why we are seeing the heads of all these all of them sitting together, because the idea is to make sure that all of them work in tandem, they all work with focus, and the end goal should be very, very clear. Just connect all the dots, bring the picture in front of the government and tell the government what exactly happened. If there were lapses, speak about the lapses so that these kind of lapses and these kind of instances do not occur anywhere else in our country. A very clear message coming in from the Home Ministry and from Home Minister Amit Shah. Marya.
And the fact that it is the NIA, which is India's federal counter-terrorism police agency, which will now be investigating this terror blast, becomes important. Remember, it was created after 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks under the NIA Act of 2008, which came into force on 31st December 2008. NIA, what will be its role? Will examine terror conspiracy under UAPA, identify masterminds, handlers and financing networks, and coordinate with state, police and central agencies on interstate and cross-border links. Another piece of breaking news which is coming in now. And suspect Umar Mohammed, who remained in that parking lot next to the Red Fort for 3 hours, Umar stayed inside the parking lot is what now sources are saying. That entire time he did not get time even once to move out of it. He entered the parking lot roughly around 3:19 p.m. and left that spot at 6:48 p.m. And at 6:52 is when the blast happened. That is what the CCTV footage is revealing. And remember, in this entire area, which is a high security zone, there are multiple CCTV cameras which are monitored on a regular basis, and there is also a police chowki next to the Red Fort. So now we can tell our viewers, there was this question that whether Dr. Umar, who was there, who had parked his vehicle, that is the I-20 vehicle, inside that parking lot, did he step out? Was he waiting for some information? Was he waiting for one of his handlers to give him that instruction to go ahead with this suicide bombing? That is the big question, and now that is becoming clear that he stayed in that parking lot for all of 3 hours. Then he exited around 6:48 and the blast happened at 6:52. Let me bring in Shreya, who's joining us live. So Shreya, you know, we are piecing together various details, and one of the details is that Dr. Umar, who entered Delhi from Haryana via the Badarpur border, is actually from 8 a.m. till 3 p.m. He is moving around Delhi. At 3:19, he parks himself in that parking lot. The question is, who chose that area for the blast? And is it becoming clear? And if he is there inside that parking lot, sitting in that car for 3 hours, what was he doing? Who was he speaking to?
Those 3 hours was of a panic-stricken terrorist, because he knew that there was a team of the Jammu and Kashmir police and the Faridabad police that was swooping down the entire region of Faridabad to arrest those absconding. Now, that is the reason we see Mohammed. He takes that car, he drives past the Badarpur border at 8:13 as recorded on the CCTV toll plaza, subsequently towards the national capital. And because it was not something of the initial plan, but something to escape and arrest from, in a panic-stricken manner, he drives to the Chandni Chowk's Suneri Bagh Masjid parking, stays in put for 3 hours. What is right now also being ascertained, Marya, is whether there was any attempt made by him to make any calls to any of his accomplices. What we do know that at least 3 of his accomplices was arrested by the Haryana police, the Faridabad police on Sunday itself. That included the likes of Marya Shakil, that included the likes of Dr. Shaheen. So clearly, he was someone who was already in the state of panic. He was inside that parking lot. He comes out of the parking lot, detonates the car, leads to the loss of lives of 9 individuals. But what is more important right now, that what are the kind of places that they actually recceed? What were the initial spots that they had chosen? All these things are right now being looked at. So what we are seeing right now is a combing operation that the police in Delhi is also doing to trace back where did these people visit across the national capital, and if they had their handlers across the border, to information about. Those are very crucial, because clearly what we are learning, that there are orders directly from the Home Minister that every individual needs to be traced down to the module and be brought to task.
All right, Shreya, we'll keep continuing to coming back to you for more details, because let me tell you what we know so far. Remember, Delhi was jolted last evening. What seemed like a lone blast outside Delhi's Red Fort has now exploded into a chilling cross-country conspiracy. From Delhi to Pulwama, Faridabad to Lucknow, agencies are uncovering a web of terror woven by minds meant to heal, where doctors have turned destroyers. Investigators have uncovered a terror module led not by hardened militants, but by educated professionals in white coats. And at the center of it all is Dr. Muhammad Umar, the alleged suicide bomber who drove the I-20 that exploded near the Red Fort. He has a key link to the Faridabad jihadi module. His associate is Dr. Muzammil, who was employed at Al-Falah Hospital, allegedly acted as the conduit for explosives. So these are the various characters of this terror plot that we are looking at now. Another member is Dr. Adil Arathir, who was caught with an AK-47 exposing a hidden arm cache near Delhi. And the network further deepens with Dr. Shaheen Shahid, whose swift car was found laden with explosives. She is now in custody and is under intense interrogation. Shaheen's brother, Dr. Parvez Ansari, remains on the run. He is being tracked by the UPATS and also by the Jammu and Kashmir police. Dr. Sajjad Ahmed Mala is another important character in this terror plot.
कार का एक्शन हीरो एको।
I'm going to ask the camera person to zoom in and show where exactly we are. There is that board of the Red Fort. You can see very closely. There is the blast site.
आसपास के तमाम हिस्सों की जो गाड़ियां थी, उनके परखच्चे जो हैं वो उड़े
यहाँ पर आपको एम्बुलेंस दिखाई दे रही होगी और ये काफी जोरदार धमाका है।
6:52 is when that car stopped. A blast takes place. There are multiple other cars which gets engulfed.
Civil defense people and as well as Delhi police personnel are deployed here.
तमाम जो एजेंसियां हैं सब यहाँ पर मौजूद हैं। इस पूरे इलाके को कॉर्डन ऑफ कर दिया गया है।
How explosives were taken inside Delhi.
A clear link now is being established with the Jaish camp as well as the Faridabad module over there.
Hello and welcome. Good evening. You're watching Super 6 here on India Today. I'm Akshata Nandagopal. It's been just about 24 hours since a blast was reported right outside the Red Fort in the national capital. The death toll, unfortunately, has climbed up now to 10. There are scores of others who've been injured in that blast who continue to be treated for their injuries in the LNJP hospital. But 24 hours on, so many questions remain by the authorities, which is what perhaps also led to this explosion taking place in the national capital. Over the next 1 hour, we're going to unravel the different layers of the story and confirm for you why this was indeed a terror conspiracy. This is the top story here on India Today. We're not taking our focus away from this because the nation right now is demanding answers of exactly what led to this kind of an incident. We've got 5 unanswered questions that our team of reporters will break down for you on the investigation and on whether there were possible lapses. Let's begin with the top 10 headlines of the day. New CCTV emerges in connection to the Red Fort blast. The I-20, which exploded, was seen entering Delhi via Badarpur border in the morning hours. This was yesterday morning at about 8 a.m. Sources have told India Today that Umar, who is the suspected suicide bomber, planned the attack in a panic mode after the terror module burst in Faridabad and multiple arrests of his suspected aides. The probe has revealed one of the doctors of destruction, Shaheen, was tasked with leading the women's wing of Jaish in India. She's in custody currently. Jaish link to attack is getting clearer now, with investigators finding links of multiple accused to the Pakistani terror outfit. Several doctors have in fact been involved in this, and cops have raided the house of one Dr. Parvez in Lucknow. He's the latest name to have emerged, the brother of the jihadi lady doctor, Shaheen Shahid. Prime Minister Modi has also spoken out during his trip to Bhutan, has vowed revenge for the Red Fort blast, saying that the conspirators will not be spared. Home Minister Amit Shah held a key meeting with top officials in the national capital. A high-level CCS meeting will take place tomorrow. The Prime Minister will chair that meeting. Unfortunately, the death toll in the Red Fort blast has gone up to 10. 25 people are still being treated for their injuries. Meanwhile, news also came in of a suicide attack outside a court in Islamabad in Pakistan. 12 people have died in the blast. Pakistan has blamed Afghanistan, saying they're in a state of war. And the other big story also that we're tracking, Bihar Phase 2 polling, and it's a record voter turnout. 67.14% voter turnout recorded till 5 p.m. in Phase 2. We'll get you those updated numbers as well. Ten lives have been lost, several others injured, and India's capital has been shaken to its core. The explosion took place just meters away from the Red Fort last evening at about 7 p.m., 6:52 to be exact. And it was the result, now it's emerged, of a massive multi-state conspiracy, mainly involving terrorists in the name of doctors, in the guise of doctors. And that's perhaps the most shocking bit that's emerged in the last 24 hours, of how every single accused who's been named is a doctor. Preliminary investigation has unearthed that the blast is linked very much to the massive Faridabad terror bust, in which over 2,000 kilos of explosive material was nabbed. So that tells you that the plan was to carry out a much, much larger terror attack. But I want to focus on one name that's emerged in the last 24 hours. Another doctor, yes, Mohammed Umar. He was the one allegedly behind the wheels of the I-20 that exploded at that red light right next to the Lal Killa metro station. So it is suspected that this was a suicide bomber. But whether this was a panic attack or a planned attack is something that we are hoping to get details on in the coming days. But let's tell you what we know right now. And we've got a number of CCTV videos, statements of eyewitnesses with which we've pieced together the exact trail of terror. Let's start with 8:04 a.m. Monday. The I-20 car driven by this Dr. Umar, because there's CCTV footage to corroborate that, enters Delhi from the Badarpur border, so from Faridabad into Delhi. By 8:20, which is essentially in about 15 minutes, the car again is captured on CCTV, this time at a petrol pump in Okhla, which is on the outskirts of the national capital. So essentially by this time, he's entered Delhi. And then the rest of the time, the cops are still piecing together what happened. But hours later, at 3:19 p.m. is when the next CCTV footage evidence comes to the fore. The same car drove into the Suneri Masjid parking lot. The Suneri Masjid is right next to the Red Fort. And it was at this spot that Umar remained parked, stayed there for nearly 3 hours. Those entire 3 hours, what we're hearing is that Umar did nothing. There were questions about whether he stepped out, did he meet with someone, did he have any aides in that parking lot who were waiting for him. But sources tell us, no, he just sat in that car, didn't come out even once. At 6:48 p.m., the car rolled out of the lot. Moments later, after it took a turn around the Red Fort and came to the entrance, the front of the Red Fort, Gate 1. At the signal, the car stopped at the red light. Moments later, exploded. Clearly, the car had some explosive materials in the vehicle, which is what led to the explosion. The question is, did he want it to go off, or was it something that happened while he was trying to escape? But there are many questions right now which need answering. And over the next 1 hour, we'll try and piece together all the information we have, particularly with our reporters on the ground who've been tracking the story right from the word go. The first question that everyone has been asking is, what was the target? Like I told you, the car went off, exploded in the middle of a road at a red light signal. Right in front of the Red Fort, on the left side, is a temple. And I want to bring in Shreya Chatterjee, who's been tracking all the latest updates. She's been speaking to her sources in the Delhi police as well. Shreya, any information that you've been able to pick up on whether there was a target planned on that very stretch that led to that explosion at the spot?
Unlikely, Akshita, because one thing that all our sources are pointing it out, that this particular attack was an attack done under a panic-stricken condition. But we're still yet to get confirmation whether Chandni Chowk was probably one of the spots that was recce'd from before for an attack to be taken place, because from the kind of cache recovered, 2,900 kgs of ammonium nitrate, clearly the module had a plan to do or carry out at least series of attacks in the national capital, averted largely by the Jammu and Kashmir police swooping down and arresting 3 individuals on Sunday and then subsequently recovering those amount. Muhammad Umar, or Umar Mohammed, he was absconding, and one thing is for sure, he was panicked because he was being searched by the Faridabad police and the Jammu and Kashmir police, and that's when the entire sequence you mentioned, he exited from Faridabad early morning, wee hours on Monday morning. He exits from Faridabad, takes the Badarpur route, reaches the national capital, tours the entire location, and then he is here seated at the Suneri Bagh parking for 3 hours. And then subsequently, when he realizes that time's almost up, he comes over here at the red light and he detonates the car, killing 9 individuals. So one thing's for sure, this was a panic-stricken attack. Whether Chandni Chowk was initially planned part of the recce, yet to confirm, because Delhi police and other multi-agencies are right now also they're combing all CCTVs in the national capital to see that where else did 3 individuals recce and where were their initial plans to carry out the attack.
So from the
Those
information,
will probably confirm that whether Chandni Chowk was actually a part of the plan.
So from the information you're giving us, Shreya, it does look like the investigation is still on. What was the target? We don't know. But another pertinent question to ask, based on what Shreya has also told us, is whether this was a planned attack or was the explosion carried out due to sheer panic? Was this man trying to run away after his aides were caught and then somehow that explosion happened? Let me bring in Munish Pandey on this. Munish, was this a panic attack or was it planned? What are authorities saying right now? What is the needle of suspicion really pointing towards? Because we know the investigation right now is still underway, but looking at surely the circumstances in the manner in which this blast happened, the manner in which this attack took place, what are they looking at?
Well, Akshita, if you go by the sequence of event in this case, it is very clear that it might have been a panic attack. And in panic, he decided to, do the blast at Lal Killa, gate number 1 of metro station. Because if you go by the sequence of events in this case, in the morning, there was a raid by the Jammu and Kashmir police in Faridabad. Most of the accomplices of Dr. Jaish-e-Mohammed, they were either detained or arrested by the Jammu and Kashmir police. It was very clear that from that module, at that particular time, there was one particular person of interest who was absconding. That is Dr. Jaish-e-Mohammed. And Umar was very much aware that now he is on target of not only Jammu and Kashmir police, but also Haryana police and Delhi police. So he was very well aware, and that is why if you go through the movement of Dr. Jaish-e-Mohammed from Faridabad in the morning, he came to the national capital in the afternoon. He spent almost 3 hours in the parking lot, and around 6 o'clock he decided to leave that parking lot, and then where I'm standing, he decided to do the blast. But Akshita, in most of the cases where ammonium nitrate has been used as an explosive, what we have witnessed in past cases is that in most of the cases, the terrorists decide to conduct such acts in a closed premises so that there can be a maximum impact. In a running car, most of the impact was, suffered by Dr. Jaish-e-Mohammed himself and also by the car and the surrounding people. But if the same blast could have been carried in a closed premises, it would have been huge. But for that, you need persons to recce those premises,
initially there was suspicion that there were 3 people in that vehicle. All of that has been made very clear that there was just one person, which was this Dr. Umar himself. He was driving and he was the only one in the car. Munish, I'll request you to stay with me. But question number 3 that comes up is about the entire terror module. Remember that the Faridabad module has been busted. The mastermind behind that explosion has been identified. So does this mean that the threat of this entire white-collar terror network is finally over? Have they all been identified? Have all the missing pieces of the puzzle been found here? I want to bring in Sushant Mehra for the latest updates on that. Sushant has been tracking the multi-agency probe that's currently underway. Sushant, आज ही हम देख रहे हैं कि काफ़ी खबर आया था कि यहाँ पे रेड्स हो रहा है, काफ़ी डॉक्टरों को अरेस्ट किया है, they've identified many of the other accused as well. तो क्या ये पूरा नेटवर्क अभी अनरावल हुआ है?
देखिए, अभी फिलहाल ये पूरा नेटवर्क को पूरी तरीके से जो पुलिस है और तमाम एजेंसियां जो है वो पूरी तरीके से सिंक्रोनाइज तरीके से जो है वो तोड़ने में लगी हुई है कि किस तरीके से ये जो पूरा धमाका हुआ है उसके पीछे के आखिरकार मास्टरमाइंड कौन है। मास्टरमाइंड मुजम्मिल है जो कि फरीदाबाद से कल गिरफ्तार हुआ, परसों गिरफ्तार हुआ, जिसके पास RDX था। उसके बाद अगर बात की जाए तो कल डॉक्टर जो उमर-मोहम्मद, जिसमें बताया जा रहा है कि इसने पूरे इस घटनाक्रम को अंजाम दिया और गाड़ी के अंदर यहाँ पर ट्रेवल कर करके बदरपुर बॉर्डर के अंदर उसकी CCTV फुटेज जो है वो नजर आ रही है। और उसके बाद सीधा उसका फुटेज जो है वो लाल किला के सुनहरी बाग की जो मस्जिद है वहाँ पर उसका फुटेज नजर आता है। और उसके बाद वो I-20 कार लाल किले के इसी गेट के पास जो है वो नजर आती है जिसमें धमाका होता है। लेकिन फिलहाल पुलिस कड़ी दर कड़ी जो है इस पूरे घटनाक्रम को जो है वो जोड़ने में लगी हुई है ताकि ये पता चल सके कि इसके पीछे आखिरकार मास्टरमाइंड कौन है, इसके पीछे किन लोगों का हाथ है, किन किन लोगों के साथ ये जो पूरा जो दिल्ली के अंदर इस घटना को अंजाम दिया गया था उसके पीछे वजह क्या। क्योंकि दरअसल जिस तरीके से 2900 किलो के आसपास RDX जो बरामद किया गया था फरीदाबाद की तरफ से, उसके बाद से ही लगातार पुलिस ये छानबीन में जुटी हुई है कि आखिर इसके पीछे मॉडल ऑफ ऑफेंस क्या था, किस तरीके से इस पूरे घटनाक्रम को जो है वो अंजाम देने की कोशिश थी। क्योंकि शुरुआत में ये था कि दिल्ली की आजादपुर मंडी और सरोजनी नगर मार्केट जो है वो टारगेट पर थी, लेकिन कल जब लगातार गिरफ्तारियां हुई उसके बाद देर शाम को, देर सुबह ही अगर कहा जाए तो जो उमर था वो दिल्ली के लिए रवाना होता हुआ नजर आया और बदरपुर बॉर्डर पर उसकी गाड़ी जो है वो ट्रेस की गई। उसके बाद जब ये पूरी घटनाक्रम हुई, दिल्ली पुलिस और तमाम एजेंसियों ने खंगालना शुरू करा CCTV फुटेज, तो फुटेज के अंदर कई हिस्सों के अंदर जो है वो नजर आ रहा था, लेकिन कई हिस्सों के अंदर ही वो
So at this point, looking at the terror network that's been busted right now, and remember, 3 doctors were taken into custody. It was the 4th one, Dr. Umar, who managed to get away, who carried out this particular attack. The question that comes up is whether there was any kind of security lapse that led to this explosion. Was the Delhi police not prepared despite the mega crackdown on terror over the last week and details that had emerged that they were planning a terror attack in the national capital. Munish, is this something that we are going to see an investigation into about whether there was one angle of this entire terror nexus that the officials, the authorities didn't manage to identify?
Well, Akshita, there is no denial that there was a security lapse by the Delhi police. Delhi police should have worked on the input which was provided by the intelligence agencies as well as the Jammu and Kashmir police, especially at a time when J&K police decided to conduct raid in the same premises, that is the Delhi NCR region in Faridabad, and there not only explosives but there was a specific input that one person is absconding. At that point of time, the special cell of Delhi police or the Delhi police other officials should have acted on those specific agencies. But at the very same time, Akshita, it is also important to point out that it is humanly impossible for any police department of any state to, check all the vehicles which are coming to that particular state, especially in a state like Delhi. You cannot check all the vehicles, and that is the reason why, this particular I-20 car which Dr. Umar Mohammed was driving, it went unnoticed. Having said that, there are certain concerns which have been raised, in regards to the conduct of Delhi police, specifically acting on the specific input when it was told to the Delhi police that there is one person, Dr. Umar Mohammed, he is someone who is connected to this explosive, at a time when other persons of the same nexus, same modules have been either arrested or they have been raided. So they would have made some extra deployment in, sensitive areas like Lal Killa or, India Gate, but those arrangements were not made, and that is why such incident took place.
Okay, my final question, and this I'll take across to Shreya Chatterjee, is about, once again, the mastermind, the suspected suicide bomber here, Dr. Umar. He was parked for 3 hours at a parking lot near Red Fort. This is in the Suneri Mosque. What was he doing? What was going on in his mind? Shreya, there were questions about whether there were some aides perhaps there who he met with. Is that why he made his way to that particular mosque? Was he planning to carry out some kind of an attack close to the Red Fort? Is that why he directly drove to that particular location? What have you been able to pick up?
There are two theories that are floating, Akshita. One, that there could be accomplices of Dr. Umar Mohammed and he was waiting for some time. B, probably he was waiting for the right time. But remember, it was Monday. Chandni Chowk market usually does not have the same hustle and bustle. So when he realized that it wasn't the same that they were expecting or the kind of people that they were expecting, probably he realized that his time is ticking because there's already a raid that is under its way. He led that detonation that led into that blast. But one thing is for sure that right now the Faridabad police is also, along with the Delhi police and Jammu and Kashmir police, is investigating into the chatter, the kind of calls that were, if at all, intercepted to have reached any of these people already arrested and Umar Mohammed, whether there were people cross-border trying to connect with them. All these things are right now being looked at because that will probably give the final key piece of information of the final and the foolproof plan that actually was there, and we only saw a miniature version of it.
Okay, we will see, of course, what emerges as the investigation progresses, but there is a serious concern that this was a Jaish module, essentially, that we've witnessed playing out in the national capital, planned to be much, much bigger, which was busted by officials. Thanks, Munish, Sushant and Shreya, for getting us all of those details. We've kind of given you a sense, really, about the details that has come to the fore on so many of those questions that we've been seeing doing the rounds. And hopefully, we'll have more clarity in the next 24 hours as the investigation progresses. But I want to focus right now on the multi-agency investigation and the details that have emerged of what kind of a blast this was. Why did we see 10 lives being lost? Here's the exact sequence of events that unfolded yesterday in the national capital, culminating in that tragic explosion outside the Red Fort.
After 14 years, another blast has jolted the national capital. An explosion right outside the seat of the capital's imperial legacy, the iconic Red Fort. The key piece of evidence in this case is a Hyundai i20 car that was used to carry out the terror attack. On Monday morning around 8 a.m., the car entered Delhi through the Badarpur border. At 8:20, the car was seen near a petrol pump in the Okla area. At 3:19 p.m., the car was parked in the Suneri Masjid parking lot near the Red Fort. The car stayed there for 3 hours, and shortly after exiting the parking lot, it exploded.
This is the same parking area where I-20 was parked for at least 3 hours. It entered in parking lot at around 3:18 p.m. and was here till 6:40 p.m. And at around 6:40 p.m. the car owner took out the car from parking area, and then the car was driven around the Red Fort area, and then it reached there at the Red Fort red light, which is right in front of entry gate of Chandni Chowk. And then there at 6:52 p.m. the blast took place.
This car was allegedly driven by Dr. Muhammad Umar, who is believed to be the mastermind of the terror attack and was allegedly part of the Faridabad module. Sources tell India Today that Umar reportedly panicked and allegedly triggered the blast near the Red Fort after investigators arrested 2 key members of the module. The magnitude and impact of the blast was so big that the nearby Gauri Shankar temple and the Jain temple were affected.
Right now we are there at the Jain temple, and let me first try to show you. You can see as to how the blast spot is barely 200 meters away from the very place from where I am right now reporting, and you can clearly see as to how this is the main office of the Jain Digambar temple, and here you can see as to how the shattered pieces, the broken pieces of glasses are now lying on the floor, and this shows the kind of intensity the blast had, that the entire window of this office came down. It broke down, and shattered pieces, the broken pieces of glasses are still lying on the table.
दिल्ली के गौरी शंकर मंदिर में आपको तस्वीरें दिखा दें कि जब तकरीबन 7 बजे के आसपास ये ब्लास्ट हुआ, उस दौरान मंदिर के अंदर पूजा जो है वो चल रही थी। उसी दौरान ये जो विंडो अगर आप देख रहे हैं, ये पूरी तरीके से यहाँ पर कांच जो है वो टूट गया। इंटेंसिटी काफी ज्यादा हाई थी, और रोजाना मंदिर के अंदर काफी बड़ी संख्या में श्रद्धालु जो है वो पूजा अर्चना करने के लिए आते हैं, और इसका इम्पैक्ट जो है वो मंदिर के अंदर भी साफ तौर पर जो है वो नजर आया। यहाँ पर जो पुजारी बैठे हुए थे, पूजा अर्चना कर रहे थे, उन्होंने भी इस धमाके का महसूस जो है वो किया।
As the probe in this case deepens, police and intelligence agencies believe that a large quantity of ammonium nitrate was used in the terror attack. The explosives were laced with fuel oil and attached to detonators. However, agencies have not found any wires or shrapnel. As the probe in this case proceeds and agencies unearth the terror network behind the blast, India's stand is clear. Every act of terror is an act of war. With Piyush Mishra and Sushant Mehra, Bureau Report, India Today.
And we're getting your exclusive details now about the suspected suicide bomber, Mohammed Umar. Now, this man was reportedly thrown out of hospital over the death of a patient. Remember, he's a doctor at a hospital, and he was expelled from a hospital back in 2023. This is from the Anantnag Medical College in Kashmir. He was expelled over medical negligence. Now, there was even an inquiry that looked into this particular case, in which they had confirmed that Mohammed Umar had abandoned duty, causing a patient's death. CCTV footage had exposed his lie. And this was when he was expelled back in 2023, after which he was recruited by another medical college. So he continued to serve, of course, but this gives you a sense of who this man was. Remember that him, along with a bunch of other doctors, were also going ahead and operating as terrorists, going ahead and recruiting, building up ammunition, a huge cache of arms that were found with them, including over 2,000 kgs of explosive material. I want to bring in Balakrishna, who is our senior executive editor with our fact-check team. Balakrishna, take me through what you really found about this man, about Mohammed Umar.
So, if you are listening to what the family members of Umar said when the media reached their home, his bhabhi was saying that he would, when he come to home, he was very fond of children and he would close himself inside a room, and he was very studious and he would study with his room closed. But now it seems that that was not the case. He might have closed himself inside a room, but maybe up to something else, because we tracked his journey back to 2023 when he had passed out from Srinagar Medical College, from where he did his MBBS and then MD, and then he went to Anantnag Medical College, Anantnag Government Medical College, where he was doing his senior residency. But soon after he joined, there were multiple complaints against him. The people complained that he was rude, he was not paying attention to the patients, and there were multiple complaints against him, including paramedical staff. But then one day a patient died, and it came when there was the patient's complaint to the medical superintendent of the hospital, and then an inquiry was set up. So there was 4 doctors who were in the committee, and they eventually found that he was not present, he was absent. And when he was confronted with this, he first denied that. He said that he was present, but in the CCTV footage,
there was clear evidence of medical negligence that led to his expulsion. And now, of course, if you look at the details that have emerged after that, this was in 2023 when he was part of the Anantnag Medical College. He was, in fact, expelled from that college because of this particular inquiry. After which, he then went into the Al-Falah University, I'm assuming. That's where he met with the other doctors, all of whom have been taken into custody. In all, 5 doctors, including Dr. Umar, have been identified as being a part of this massive terror network. 3 are in custody, 1 is absconding. But there is a suspicion that it's a lot bigger than that. This Dr. Umar, and you know, it's shocking that all of these terrorists who've been taken into custody, they're all doctors. They were all serving doctors. And yet this is what they were doing. This truly is shocking, eye-opening. It's impossible really to wrap your head around the fact that these people who were going ahead and plotting this massive terror attack in Delhi were also doctors, people were, of course, going ahead and believing that they would save lives, their own loved ones' lives as well, all the while they were plotting to bleed the country. Dr. Umar, believed to be the mastermind, the one who executed the attack near Red Fort on 10th November evening. There's not much known about him, but pictures do show him sitting in that particular vehicle where he's wearing a black mask to cover his face. Considering these times in Delhi, it's fairly normal to wear a mask. It didn't really raise a red flag. So he passed through tolls. He stopped at a petrol pump for a pollution check of his vehicle. He drove around, stopped at a parking lot for 3 hours, went completely unnoticed. Let's get you all the details that we know about this man. Now, the suspected suicide bomber who took 9 lives.
Mohammed Umar was a doctor, and he was the owner of the moving I-20 car that exploded near the Red Fort metro station on the 10th of November, right before the clock struck 7 p.m. Dr. Umar was an MD in internal medicine from GMC Srinagar and was working at the Al-Falah Medical College in Faridabad. He is the alleged terror trigger in the Red Fort metro station blast on the 10th of November. Most members of his family in Pulwama are now in police detention and interrogation.
पढ़ाई के अलावा वो कुछ नहीं करता था, बस खाली पढ़ता था. वो किताबी कीड़ा था.
पुलिस आई
रात के 10 बजे, 10 साढ़े 10 बजे आ गई थी और उन दोनों भाइयों को लेकर चली गई. पहले एक को ले गई, फिर दूसरे को ले. अब ये हमारी होप थी, हमें पता था कमाने वाला खाली वही था.
तो आपको भी शौक लगा? कोई इंडिकेशन कभी थी कि ऐसा कुछ कर रहे हो?
नहीं, ऐसी तो कोई बात ही नहीं थी.
Dr. Umar allegedly drove the loaded I-20 car into the parking of the Suneri Mosque at around 3:19 p.m. For the next 3 hours, the car remained parked with him inside it. Then he took the car out of the parking lot, and within minutes the blast took place. Dr. Mohammed Umar died in the explosion in all likelihood, but DNA tests will prove whether it was really him in the car.
Took out the car from parking area, and then the car was driven around the Red Fort area. When the car was seen stopped there at the red light of the Red Fort, there at 6:52 p.m. the blast took place. But the point here is that how explosives were taken inside Delhi. All these things are now being investigated by the senior police officials.
According to sources, Dr. Umar was also part of the Faridabad terror module. Bureau Report, India Today.
So let's break down for you, in the last many hours, who are the prime conspirators linked to Mastermind Umar who've been taken into custody. Because mind you, this is still a terror web that's unraveling before our eyes, that's yet to be fully revealed for authorities. There is Dr. Mohammed Umar, who we've been talking about, the suspected suicide bomber, a doctor, believe it or not, who carried out the Red Fort blast. He was sitting driving that particular I-20 that went off, exploded at the Red Fort. Then, right after this now, we've had in the last few hours, Dr. Adil Ahmed Rater taken into custody, part of the Faridabad terror module, and reportedly a close aide of Umar, a close friend of his. Dr. Marya Shakil operated closely with Umar and also worked at the same university. This is a university in Faridabad called the Al-Falah University. And you'll find that most of these doctors are linked to this particular university. There's a jihadi lady doctor, Dr. Shahid, part again of the Faridabad terror module, again worked at Al-Falah University with Umar. So you see clearly the connect is clear. They were all working together, they were colleagues, and then came together and built a terror network, believe it or not. Dr. Ahmed Mohiuddin Saeed, part of the Faridabad terror module. 5 doctors, all right now identified. There's one more from Lucknow who at this point remains absconding. There are raids underway to identify who else was involved. But there have been a whole lot of developments that have come in the last few hours, with this particular incident in Delhi sending shockwaves as expected across the nation. Who'd have thought that in the national capital, in the heart of Delhi, this kind of a blast and explosion could take place? There are questions, of course, about a security lapse as well. But let's get you the latest on the investigation. In a new twist in the Delhi blast probe, sources have told us that all senior suspects are doctors from the Al-Falah University. There were earlier 6 junior doctors who were detained for questioning from the same institution. The Delhi police has submitted a preliminary report on the Chandni Chowk explosion to the Ministry of Home Affairs. The report reconstructs the events leading up to the I-20 car blast, underscores the coordinated efforts of the Delhi, Haryana, Jammu and Kashmir police in tracing the terror network. The image that you see on your screens is of the jihadi lady doctor, Dr. Shahid, Lucknow-based doctor who's been arrested in the Faridabad explosives case. She was allegedly leading the women's wing of Jaish-e-Mohammed, known as Jamaat-ul-Mominat, tasked with recruitment and radicalization. Reportedly, it was being revived after India's Operation Sandhu. Home Minister Amit Shah, in light of what's happened in the national capital, chaired an emergency review with top security officials, directing them to leave no stone unturned. He's instructed them to hunt down every culprit. And let's round up all the big updates that have come in on this particular story. Mohammed Umar, the suspected suicide bomber, remained in a parking lot near the Red Fort for 3 hours, didn't step out of his vehicle. There were questions about whether he had aides in that particular Suneri Mosque parking lot. Is that why he went there? The information we have is that no, he didn't step out at any point from that vehicle. For 3 hours sat inside, leading to questions about whether he was in a state of panic, trying to figure out what to do, considering all of his aides had been arrested, their terror plot had been busted, and all of the explosives that they'd collected, over 2,000 kgs of ammonium nitrate, all of it was seized by authorities. Is that why he sat in his vehicle trying to figure out what to do? 3 hours later, he came out, took a U-turn front of Red Fort, the car exploded. But besides that, the information that we also have is that there is a telling Jaish link that's emerging right now with regards to the module also, and also of this jihadi lady doctor who's been taken into custody. I want to bring in on this broadcast Gaurav Sawant and Preeti Chaudhary. Over the last 24 hours, Gaurav and Preeti have been reporting non-stop on all that's been playing out in the Red Fort blast. Preeti, I'd like to begin with you. You're right outside where the blast took place. 24 hours on, there are so many questions right now, Preeti, of what exactly happened. But this was very clearly a terror attack, planned or not, a terror attack.
You know, you're bang on, Akshata, because yes, till now there is no official confirmation other than what we've heard our Prime Minister and the Home Minister say, that those responsible will be brought to justice. But the sheer fact that this case has now been handed over to the NIA, this in effect becomes a counter-terror operation. The NIA and other investigative agencies have been right here behind me at the Red Fort. The metro station is shut. The entire Chandni Chowk market is shut. They've been combing this area, for any possible piece of evidence. At the back, if you see the white scaffolding behind me, tents have been put in place early morning, where heavy machinery was brought in for investigative purposes, and on the basis of that it was discovered that the explosives that were used in the I-20 behind the wheel was Dr. Omar Mohammed, was in fact ammonium nitrate, and those are all coming together. So definitely it is a terror plot, it was a terror attack. Dr. Omar Mohammed was a suicide bomber. And now let's walk back, Akshita, because the car that he has been using, the number of times it's exchanged hands, ties in. Now, clearly, you've gone through that sequence of events for our viewers where the car exchanged hands from Salman to Amir, Amir to Tariq, who's right now arrested. He's being questioned under the UAPA, and after him, it came to Dr. Omar, Muhammad Omar. So, through the car, it also ties in now all the pieces of the terror puzzle coming in together. It was a terror triangle. We've seen it in 3 states, at least, where Uttar Pradesh, Delhi, as well as Jammu and Kashmir, all the pieces of this terror plot coming together, seeming to suggest with linking itself to the terror module. We can give it a glib word and call it the white-collar terror module because of the doctors attached to it. But it was sinister in nature. It was busted, by our investigative agencies. And you walk back from there, because it is the Jaish footprint behind that terror module. Where does the Jaish come from? It comes from Bahawalpur in Pakistan. So clearly, if you join the dots, the footprint of this terror attack, Akshata, leads all the way back to Pakistan.
And that's shocking. Gaurav, I'd like to bring you in on what Preeti has just highlighted here. There are very telling signs of a Jaish module. But can you break that down for us, Gaurav? What are the similarities that you see here between what happened in Red Fort, the seizures that have been made, what reportedly this Faridabad terror module was planning?
So as of now, 42 samples have been collected, whether from the tires, the bonnet, the steering wheel, a lot of other parts of that car. They will try and ascertain the explosives. It is believed to be ammonium nitrate fuel oil that was used for ANFO for this blast. Now, was this by design at the Red Fort? Remember that Maulana of Terror, Masood Azhar, he's repeatedly spoken of targeting Red Fort, which is the symbol of authority, symbol of power in India. The Jaish-e-Mohammed has tried that in the past. Were they trying that once again? Now, that is conjecture at this stage. There is no conclusive evidence to suggest that Muhammad Umar, Dr. Umar, had brought the car there. Or was he taking the car elsewhere? Usually, when it is a VB IED or a vehicle-borne improvised explosive device, either you ram into another vehicle the way Jaish-e-Mohammed did in 2019, ramming into the CRPF bus, or ram into a vital asset or a vital point. For example, when terrorism was rearing its ugly head post-Kargil, where at the main gate of the Badami Bagh cantonment, and I've covered a number of Jaish-e-Mohammed terror attacks in our country, including in Delhi and other parts of the country. This is a local module. All the terrorists named so far, or suspected terrorists named so far, whether it's Dr. Adil, Dr. Muzammil, Dr. Shahid, Dr. Ansari, or Dr. Muhammad Omar, they're all Indian Kashmiris or Indian, from Lucknow or from Saharanpur or from Azamgarh or various other parts of our country. That positive Pakistani link is still to be investigated and action found. Should that be found, and hopefully it will be, then hopefully we will see very strong action. But to justify that strong action, right now perhaps there would be stronger action against the enemy within if there is, evidence. Based on evidence, all these elements, they were apparently indoctrinated by the Imam of the Naugam Mosque, a chap called Muhammad Irfan. Now, he was also a paramedic who was not just with these doctors at GMC, Government Medical College, Srinagar, but was also indoctrinating apparently some other doctors from the same location who are working in other parts of our country. So that entire list is being drawn out, and this is likely to be a massive strike in terms of identifying, isolating, arresting these doctors in case they're involved, God forbid, before they can carry out the next terror attack.
This is very, very targeted, Gaurav. I find it very hard to wrap my head around the fact that almost every one of the accused so far who's been taken into custody is a doctor